Packmates, a podcast about Magic the Gathering Limited, where we take a dive into the current limited formats. The Packmates are a group of friendly card sharks that enjoy hanging out, going F&M, getting them dubs. I'm Ryan, your resident aggro expert.
I'm Andrew, the resident caroling expert.
And I'm Joel, a guest.
So Roby's not here this week, and we have Joel with us. He's a future MTG Hall of Famer, future pro, Magic Online for money, for profit, qualifies for every regional possible, and he's been playing for a year and a half. Child prodigy, not even a kid. When he was 3, I think someone said, "You're going to be a Magic pro," and it comes true. Comes true. He's top 250 Mythic when he chooses, whatever he decides he wants to be. But yep, so he's taking Roby's place tonight. So yeah, let's get into it. We'll start off with our F&M deck techs.
Yeah, go for it. I wasn't attending F&M, so Ryan, why don't you start us off on this one?
I had a red, green, splash white kind of pile. I think I had like 6 rares.
6 rares?
Yeah.
Goodness.
So first pick was the green god. 6/5 trample for 5. When it deals combat damage, look at the top X and put a creature or land in the battlefield where X is the damage you did. Insane. Just
Bomb
busted.
scale, 1 to 10, where is he?
I think it's absolutely a 10, maybe a 9. It's not quite at the Glyph Bridge. I think if you had to choose between the two, you'd probably take the Glyph Bridge just because board wipe that gives you advantage. But that is the best of the God cycle. The fact that it flips so easily, the fact that it gives you such a huge advantage above rate trample. Yeah. It's very hard to beat.
It doesn't ring to me as like unbeatable. Like it's not Gruff Triplets.
Sure.
It's not White Sun's Twilight Resolved. Like it's not, you know what I mean? But it's close. Like it's close enough. The problem is it doesn't affect the board immediately. Yeah. And then it has to stick around for a turn and get through. Which, I mean, isn't too many hoops to jump through with the 6/5 trample, but it's still not, Gruff Triplets or the other. So it's about 9.5 to me.
That was a pack 1 rip?
Sure. Yeah, pack 1, pick 1. Pack 1, pick 1, followed by pick 2, Roaming Throne, which is the 4/4 with wood that becomes a creature, and then it can copy triggered abilities. Mm-hmm. Absolute all-star in my deck. Can copy the gods triggered ability, so the trample thing happens twice. I had the green-white guy that like adds counters based on their power. That could happen twice. Mm-hmm. I also had a diamond pickaxe that I equipped and made 2 treasures. Just lots of fun stuff. I had the 2/1 battle cry that makes bats, and when it dies, it makes bats. I named him a vampire and made 2 bats. That was good. Copied a battle cry. Also good. That's pretty much game.
It's going to be super hard to beat that. And I think that bat guy has been, like, people have been passing him, and I think he's definitely splashable. It's like a very strong effect. You're just getting typically 3 bodies for the price of 1. It'll trade, and battle cry is very relevant in a set that can go as wide. There's a lot of things that go wide.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yep, and Battlecry was like, I guess I'm splashing white. Sure. Like, I guess. If you're going to twist my arm, someone passed to me. It was like pick 4 in a pack. It was like,
that's wild. Yeah,
we had a weird 11-man pod, too.
Ooh, man.
And I got hard baited into red green dino. So pack 1, I wheeled 2 of the 2/2 knights. If you have a dino, when it attacks, it gets +1/+1.
Oh, yeah.
Literally second to last pick and last pick. Jeez. So I'm thinking dinos is there. Like it's 11-man pod. Dinos this is a signal. Like I have to.
Of course,
Then I end up with 6 dinos all night. It's like, what is going on? But anyway, they were still fine. Like they were mid. My favorite 2-drop from this set from this deck was the artifact guy. He's like the one in the red, the looter, the rummager.
A goblin picker?
Yeah. Little draw or discard draw.
He's sick. Good, man.
Sick. You know what he's super sick with?
What's super sick
Dune
with?
Dune Mover. You can just draw a land that you don't need. You get one that you do. Insane. Did that. Turn 2, played the dude. Turn 3, didn't play a land. Played the Dune Mover. Search for a cave, because I don't have something for 1 mana.
Yeah.
This card not a cave. Guess what?
Stop trying to make Dune Mover work, man.
It's so good. You're the only one fighting.
Stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen.
You're too big of a boomer on this, and you refuse to change, and you're just wrong.
Maybe I could ask our guest here tonight to see what he thinks about Dune Mover, a.k.a.
What's the actual card called? It's some gnome thing. Compass gnome.
Compass gnome.
Compass gnome. It's an artifact, and it can get a cave as well. It can get a cave or a basic.
I think the upside here is really getting a cave, right? Especially if you're splashing. If you're splashing, you're going to be playing it just because the fixing, other than this, really isn't that great. You've got treasures.
Yeah.
But outside of that fixing, you've got this Dune Mover equivalent. You'll definitely play in all your decks you're splashing, but outside of that, in your 2-color decks, if you're getting a cave, it's all right. But it's certainly not a bomb, but it's a decent common. You'll play it.
Is it worth it to get the cave that sacks for another land that you can just like get 2 lands out of your deck if you're hyper aggressive?
This is a lot of work to get the marginal increase of thinning. You're playing a 2/1 for 2.
Yeah, but it's an artifact. It's a 2/1 for 2 is not terrible.
It's a decent role player, right? And like I said, you'll play it in your decks that are splashing. But it's not the kind of card you're super excited. It's like your 20th card or whatever. And I don't think you need multiples, unless if you're splashing like heavily.
Can I cut a land 1 for 1? That's what I want to know.
I mean, you can. I don't think it's nearly what you're making it out to be.
This isn't a land cycler.
It's better. It does the same thing a land cycler does as a body.
Instant speed versus that.
I like the 4-mana one quite a bit better. The one that puts it onto the battlefield.
Yeah.
The 4-mana 3/2. I've been pretty impressed with that. I went in and it seems pretty mediocre. It's a 4-mana 3/2. But tutoring a cave to the battlefield that then you can sack late game, it feels like it's just a 2-for-1. And when it's a 2-for-1 that fixes your mana and it's an artifact in a set that cares about artifacts, and then 3 power just trades for so many things. You don't feel like you're like going down.
Yeah, that thing is growing on me for sure.
He's like the spiritual cousin to Solemn Simulacrum, which was hella good back in the day, and still probably actually did some work even when he got back.
He's not even close to that, chill.
I mean, yeah. You get the cave. It's like drawing a card, right? Or actually you get to cast it.
I mean,
you get to cast it.
Yeah. All right. So the Goblin Picker, very good.
I liked it, yeah. I mean, I was able to just find my bombs, which was my deck, right?
Yeah.
Like, I had bombs, and I was able to find them. Splashing was like a little bit rough. I ran into some games against Joel where I didn't hit my colors and stuff. Like I felt like I had enough sources, but it was consistently not hitting. So maybe I needed to do a little bit more work there. I had like 2 or 3 things I made treasures. I had technically 8 of every source if you count the compass gnome, plus like 4 white sources. But I wasn't hitting my 2, like my red and my green, which was my main 2 colors, consistently against him.
Ooh.
Could have been like, anecdotal data, right? But
small sample
like
size.
8's probably fine in like 90% of cases.
I think you might have had a couple too many tap lands.
Yeah. We talked about that. I had 5 caves.
Oh my gosh. Did you have any cave payoffs?
No.
So just purely for value?
Yeah, just to discover. Like my curve basically stopped at 4, and then I had the 1 god for 5. So I was just trying, like if I get flooded, like I have to have something to do.
But it also slows your aggression down, right?
My deck wasn't like super aggressive. Like it was aggressively curved, but it wasn't like 1 swing, 2 swing, 3 swing. It was like.
Did you have any 1-drops?
I had 2 of the 1/1s that tap for dinosaur mana, but I didn't have enough dinosaurs to play them.
Oh,
so like that's rough.
Yeah. So no. I mean, I had like 1-drop removal, and I had 2 1-drop equipments. I had the +2/+0 that flips into like the fling thing that you can fling artifacts for damage.
Oh yeah.
And then I had the Diamond Pickaxe.
Yeah, Diamond Pickaxe has really impressed me. I think that card's quite good.
Yeah, I think it's definitely pretty good. Like the treasures are sick. It really only costs 1 to equip if you're sure you're gonna be able to swing. And it just gets damage through, pushes damage.
It was good. It was like there was something in Kaldheim that was very similar to that, right? The gemstone pickaxe or something like that.
That one you had to do combat damage to them, I think, to get the treasure.
Oh, okay.
And this is on attack.
Jeez. So it's actually
that's a
just
big difference.
better.
Yeah.
And it's indestructible. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I guess when you're turning into like a 5/4, right? It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's indestructible.
If you ever happen to have that combo.
Yeah, that's true.
Zoetic Glyph is a disgusting card.
Yes, it is. It's terrifying.
No, it seems so hard to beat.
But yep, I went 2-1, lost to Joel in the championship. He pretty much just smoked me.
So
it wasn't really close.
When you saw the end of the table, like everybody kind of building, did you feel like you did it correctly in the green-red where you were at?
I was a little preoccupied to notice where everyone was.
Oh, okay.
I had someone beside me that I was helping with theirs.
Oh,
I knew I was gonna have the buy first, so I kind of like.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Always good. Always good.
But I mean, like, if you look at my deck, I would say I have like 3 bad cards, maybe. Like, and 2 of those are those 2/2 guys that get +1/+1 if you have a dino. And like, obviously, if I had more dinos, it'd be fine.
Yeah.
Then they're 2/2s, and then like Compass Gnome's fine. Let me cut a land, but other than that, and I had like the Rock Slide that deals damage equal to lands, which is not really where you want to be with damage. Like And I also had Noah braids, and I saw Noah braids, so that's kind of rough.
Ouch.
That's a major downside.
That's tough. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow, I would have cut bait at that point if you don't see any braids or anything like that. You didn't see very much removal.
Yeah, I mean, I passed one fight spell for 3, but it's like, who cares that much about a fight spell, really? You know what I mean?
Is it the bite? The
The 3 mana,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so expensive, and it's so prone to blowouts. And
It can be a little clunky. I think you still play it more often. I don't think that one's too bad. Historically, I understand that like bite spells, but in this you're tapping out. There's a lot of 2-drops. I feel like you can find an opportunity because it's instant speed as well to get a blowout on it.
I feel like my deck would have been better, and this is a hot take, with 3/3 trample for 2 instead of removal. Like, in place of removal, if I just had buffs, my deck would have been a lot tougher to deal with.
It would have given you a much faster curve because that's where like you are low, like you said, you're low curve, but you didn't quite get there on aggression.
Yeah.
So that might have enabled that.
Yeah, and Joel pretty much always blocked me, and he kind of felt somewhat pressured some of the games. Like, he kind of felt like he needed to block.
Mm-hmm.
And so like a 1 trample where I still hit him for 3 and kill his dude almost like turns that game, right?
Yeah, it definitely would have been a lot closer.
Where 2 damage at sorcery speed doesn't really give me the block that I need to like win. Then he knows that he can still block and do all this stuff. But 1, I don't know. +3/+3 and trample is my sweet spot for buffs. Like, I'm a sucker for +3/+3 and trample. This is the best buff.
I think in this set too, with so many big bodies in green, where that trample actually does come up quite big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you can definitely sneak some major damage in, especially with like the land cyclers. They randomly chump it with a 1/1 and then you get 7 damage in or something and you just kill them.
Or the 7/7 dino. Like,
Yeah.
they're going to jump that all day. Or the thing that you had, which we can get to your deck now, that makes 7/7s.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
hear about this game-winning, FNM-winning 3-0. Was it 3-0 or was it 4-0?
It was 3-0.
3-0.
Yeah, there's lots of draws.
Oh, jeez.
Well, slow set.
It's slow set and then plus your
First week.
It's a big thing.
Yep.
Yeah, and this is where I think if you are seeing it late at all, Tendrils of the Micro Tyrant, it's a 2 mana 2/2, right? It's just a bear on its front side. But you can pay 7 to put 7 +1/+1 counters on a land.
Ooh.
It's just, you will win late game every time with it. And it's a 2-drop that you'll just block with it early if you have to.
Yep.
Right? It is a major overperformer. I think it is definitely first pickable. It is, if you're seeing it late, that is a huge sign for green. The card is incredibly powerful. Like, for a 2-drop that effectively is going to just win late every time. They have to kill your 2-drop. That is a really good place to be.
It's definitely beat me a couple times online too, and it made 2 7/7s, and it's like, okay, I just can't do anything.
Yeah, like how are you going to beat that? You both need to deal with it because it's the one making them, and then you have to deal with, even if you made just 1, you got an insane amount of value.
Yep.
Right. My 3-drop slot was probably where I was at my best. My first 3 picks were, I first picked the Sentinel of the Nameless City. It's a 3 mana 3/4 vigilance. When it ETBs or attacks, you make a map token. So it's overstatted already. It's a 3/4 vigilance. It has an ETB of making a map, which is very relevant. And then you just get consistent value on attack. It's just a great green card. And then I got past Corpses of the Lost, which felt pretty weird. I think Corpses is a pretty good card. It's a 3 mana enchantment that makes a 2/2 skeleton and pumps your skeletons by +1/+0 and gives them haste. And then on your end step, if you descended, you can pay 1 life to bounce it to your hand. So on its front, you're paying 2 and a black for a 3/2 haste. That's not a bad rate. But then anytime you descend, which it's very easy to incidentally do, even if you're not like hyper focused on it, you're gonna descend some.
Just trade a dude.
Things
Right,
die.
Yeah.
Then you get to just recur it and keep doing it, and these skeletons all have haste, right?
Yeah.
So you just keep beating in with your recursive value engine that it's very difficult for them to deal with.
Yeah.
All right.
It felt so bad. Like, he played that on me, and he kept swinging with a 2/2. And like, it felt so bad to trade like even my Compass Gnome into his 2/2 because he was just gonna get another skeleton. That was tough. Where are you at on the 3/4 vigilance? I think it's like probably like an 8.5. I think it's very good.
I would definitely agree. It doesn't like take over the game in the same way, but the map tokens provide more value. The fact that it has vigilance, so you're both being aggressive and still being able to hold back. Like in my deck especially, if I'm surviving till the late game, I have so many things to do with my mana. I had 2 of the Visages to flip. I had 2 of the Tendrils for that. I had the Black God, so if I resolve that, I'm
nice.
probably just going to win the game. That's how the God cycles work. 2 of the Cody Scavengers, It's the 3-mana 3/2 that if you have Descend, you just return a creature or artifact from your graveyard to your hand. So I just had a whole bunch of different things that could just win late game.
Is that a Descend 4 trick?
It is a Descend 4. Yeah. So you do need to enable it a little bit, but it's not too bad to get Descend 4. You know, I cast 1 in the Presence of Ages, you know, and you put 2 things in the graveyard, 2 things in your hand, and then, you know, a couple things die and you have it.
Yeah.
Or you just go late and it happens. You know, it's not too difficult to trigger.
Question on the green-black archetype. I tried a couple times online.
Yeah.
The 3-mana instant that gets a creature and a land, or lets you just instantly Descend 4 for 3.
Yeah, that's in the Presence of Ages. And that one's quite good. I think that is like one of the primary enablers. I think it's at common for that archetype.
Yeah.
Because the instant speed definitely blows people out. Like in this deck, I had Akawali. It's the 3-mana 3/3. If you have Descend 4, it becomes a 5/5. Descend 8, it becomes a 7/7. Can't be blocked, right? Yep. That's the uncommon that is the green-black.
Yeah,
you know,
it's can only be blocked by 1 and it has trample at 5/5, right? Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And when you can just instant speed flip that into a 5/5, you can get some major blowouts.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
If you have a land cycler and you're at 3, they have to be, you know, like you can instant turn it into a 5/5. You know, there's so many different ways you can abuse it that you need to be very, very careful blocking it, or you're just going to get blown out. And it is a very good uncommon, you know. It's like 7, maybe even 8, you know, 7.5. It's very strong. Maybe not like Bomb Rare. Maybe that's a little high. But if you're trying to go into that Descend, that is, you know, a very strong signal.
Yeah.
It does work. You know, you're normally paying 3 mana for a 5/5.
Yeah.
Trample.
That's insane. And it's really not hard to enable Descend 4.
No, you will Descend 4 by accident. Getting Descend 8 is where it gets difficult.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But in any of your green-black decks, you'll just like get Descend 4.
Do you go out of your way to draft more of the like fetch caves, like the in Descend decks?
This deck, especially, I wish I would have gotten more of those. There was one pick, I actually didn't even end up playing it. I took a second of the Tithing Blade because I was worried about not getting removal. And that's certainly not premium removal. You know, it's an all right card. You will play it if you need it. I played one of these tonight just because I didn't get the removal I felt like I wanted. But I wish I would have taken the Black Cave over it. I had the Captivating Cave, which you can pay 4 and sack it to get 2+1/+1 counters.
Oh, yes, very good.
And I think that one's actually, I think I'd prefer to play the first copy of that over any of the tapped caves for the most part, because the +1/+1 counters by that point are often just as relevant as discovering. You know, if you discover into like a 2/2.
Yeah.
Unless you have some insane 4 to discover into, the counters are, you know, especially if you have evasive creatures in your deck, are gray. You know, if you have like the 1/1 flyers or anything like that. And then the other thing is just entering untapped is really big.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely a much bigger fan of the Captivating Cave, but you will play, I think, the first 2 Discover Caves in most decks. And if you're going late and need Mana Sinks, maybe you could play another. But I think playing more than 2 or 3 tends to be a bit of a trap. But it becomes harder to activate them the more you have because you're sacking them.
Yeah.
And then they also just introduce more clunkiness in multiples.
Yep.
You know, having the first one is very low cost because you play it on 1, you normally don't have a 1-drop. And then you can go to 2, it doesn't really cost you anything. But, you know, by the time you get to 2 and 3, if you're ever playing the tap land on 2 and you can't play a 2-drop, it just feels so
it's terrible.
bad.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think it's too terribly hard to find a slot where you aren't going to use all of your mana in the first 5 turns. Like, even if you don't hit it on 1, 2 of those slots is a little bit harder, but I still don't think that's like crazy unreasonable.
Yeah, no, you can definitely go up in certain games. And if you're playing best of 3s and you know your opponent is like a slightly clunkier deck, they're not super aggressive, and you have extras, absolutely, you can play them.
Yeah.
But, you know, if they're, you know, going to be playing 2-drop into Tinker's Tote, into a 4-mana 3/2 flyer that makes a 1/1, you're going to be in some trouble.
That's true.
Yeah.
So,
I remember my opponent during the pre-release he had quite a bit of caves, and he got to a point in the game where it was like, I'm going to start sacking all my caves. And I'm looking at my board, and I'm like, well, I'm a pretty late game deck. And he was just ripping off 2/2s. I'm like, okay. And he just actually killed himself out of the game, really, by just blowing up his lands, because then he wasn't able to get those really high-end drops that he has. It was sealed, so you're going to have some high-end drops. But I realized that. I was like, oh, wow, you've really slowed yourself down. Just that was your whole turn. Every time was just ripping off caves and getting 2/2s or getting a 1/1 or something that wasn't relevant at the time.
Yeah, no, I think people underestimate the opportunity cost of losing a land even late game, right?
Yeah.
That's going to have an impact on like double spelling, because if you take a turn off to do that instead of casting a spell, and then you draw another spell, it is, I think, likely that you won't be able to cast both, right? And that's going to happen more often than people think. And even if it only happens occasionally, that's a pretty big downside.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right?
And there's a ton of sinks in this set.
Yeah. Mana sinks are everywhere in this
My
set.
goodness.
I think they're pretty good in this set as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like a super slow format, but there's definitely some grindy decks.
Yep.
So if you don't have the mana sinks, then you're going to be in some trouble. You know, I do think most decks are going to want mana sinks.
Like, so would you say caves are like a bad mana sink for decks that don't have them then?
Yeah.
Like you'd rather have craft stuff. You'd rather have tendrils.
Yeah, and that's where like my deck, like I felt like I wish I would have had one, mostly because I could have tutored it. I had the 4 mana 3/2 that tutors a cave.
And it already comes into play tapped anyway.
Yeah, so the cost of getting a cave or something else is none. But you know, I already had 2 tendrils, and then I had 2 of the Visage, which is a Thoughtseize effect. You know, you look at their hand, you choose an artifact or creature, and it flips into a 5/4 that mills you 2 lay.
Yeah.
You know, and that card is a huge overperformer.
Oh,
I'm a
goodness,
big
yeah.
fan. It does so much work.
Disrupting their plane is huge, I think, in this set.
Yeah.
For sure.
And then it's just a mana sink lay. And those mana sinks, they win games, honestly. You know, when you can do something on 2 that seriously affects their plan, and then just have an extra creature later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
'Cause,
gosh.
like a lot of those mana sinks, the front side's good enough.
Yeah,
If you never
exactly.
craft, you're not upset about it, right? Or you might even sack one to craft something else. Like, who cares?
Yeah, and you shouldn't be scared of sacking those. You know, it's not like you're necessarily like, oh, I can't get the 5/4. I'm like losing a 5/4. You need to think about you're paying the 6 mana for that. You know, you're exiling things, you're affecting your descent maybe. You know, treat it as a resource. And if you are like having trouble, if you're missing lane drops, aggressively get rid of those.
Yep.
You know, they are upside late game, but don't treat them as like you have to do that late game.
Right.
You know, if there's other things, you know, get rid of them.
If you can sack one to just win a combat, do it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
yeah.
Get your value now. Don't like
Yeah.
rely on making it late unless if you're very confident the game's going to be super grindy.
Right. There are several
Right.
cards that can just turn the game, right? So you don't want to take your time and, you know, do all that. There's like common board wipes, right?
Yeah,
or
exactly.
uncommon.
Yeah. Uncommon.
The cave ones, but like 3 or 4 caves, that's a ton. That's a ton of damage. Like 4 damage to everything is a ton.
Even like the -2/-2 that exiles
the
things.
-2/-2
Yes.
is
Yeah. No, that is, it's very good. I don't know if you're always main decking it. For instance, today I had it in the sideboard mostly because I had the 2 tendrils. That if I'm killing those, it's really, really bad. Right. So I had it and I even brought it in once. But, you know, if you are a deck that doesn't have that many things that kills, that is going to feel amazing. There's so many decks where you get like a 6-for-1 against it. You know, you just wipe their entire board. You know, they're casting a couple Tinker's Totes and then a couple other things, and then you just play that, and it just, you know, it's 3 mana and you kill everything.
Yeah.
yeah.
And-
yeah. There's several decks where that just they
can't
have
deal with
nothing
it.
left. They have like a 2/3. That's it.
Yep.
So you mentioned you didn't get the removal that you were looking for. How important is that in this set?
I would say that it is fairly important to get your removal, but one of the things I've been noticing on Arena is like day 1, I was getting an insane amount of removal super late. I wheeled one of the 2 black and a generic -5/-5. You know, one of the most premium removal spells in the set.
Yep.
Right. And it's like, this should never wheel. I don't care what was in the pack. This should not be wheeling. But then more recently, I've been seeing people, you know, taking like removal at the expense of all else. I've been getting past, you know, like really good uncommons at a point and seeing no removal in the pack. And it's like, people are definitely taking removal over these uncommons. And I think people are valuing it a little highly, if only due to the fact that there's a lot of ways to get like 2-for-1s or mana sinks in this set. And, you know, the removal is obviously very good. You know, it's never going to be bad. But if you're second picking that over a really good uncommon, you could very well be making a mistake, right? So I do think people are over picking that a little bit right now on Arena. It's hard to say that you're, you know, taking removal too early. You know, removal is always good.
Yeah.
But you do need to actually, you know, develop your own game plan. So in this, for instance, particular one, I was largely substituting the Visages for removal due to the fact that I didn't have much. You know, it's disruption. You get to see what they're doing, you know what you have to deal with, what you can trade, etc. But other than that, I only had a Bitter Triumph, which is admittedly pretty premium. You know, you can either discard a card or pay 3 life, and then it's instant speed, just kill a creature.
Oh, it's very good.
You can get huge blowouts with it. It's very good removal. But other than that, I didn't really have all that much.
Was there not a lot in the draft? And you were talking about that earlier, Ryan.
I mean, I didn't see any Abrades, but I feel like I just never see a ton on Arena. Like, I feel like it's very scarce, especially the premium removal.
Yeah, it's not that there even like isn't removal in this set, but I think there might be less compared to others from what you'd expect, right? In terms of like the premium stuff, obviously. You've got, there's a lot of like the white stuff where you can like deal damage to an attacking or blocking creature or a tapped creature, that kind of thing. But in terms of just like unconditional killing a thing, you've got the -5/-5 in black, and you've got the Bitter Triumph that, you know, you discard a card or pay 3 life.
Yeah.
And other than that,
You got the 5-cost ones at Exile, I guess.
Yeah,
Or the
I
6-cost one in white? Is it
Yeah,
6
but it
cost?
costs
it's 6 or
3.
3.
Yeah.
Yeah. And those are like both all right, but I wouldn't consider them premium.
I don't think so. Yeah. they're not
I
really.
don't even see those online. Like, it's
Jeez.
crazy.
And that's where I'm saying people are overpicking.
Yeah.
Because if you're
Yeah.
taking those over good cards, you know, it's like take things that develop your own plan over those exile things. And if you don't end up getting other removal, you have to play a couple of those. That's fine. You know, you can still have a good deck without it.
Yeah.
But you should not be sabotaging your own like game plan in order to try to, you know, take removal most of the time.
Yeah. Ideal world, like 4 to 5 pieces of pretty good removal.
Yeah. If you have a couple that are like conditional, like attacking or blocking, that's okay.
Yeah.
You want at least 1 to 2 that you can just deal with a thing unconditionally. You know, whether that be the exile ones or preferably something like Bitter Triumph or something like that.
Yeah. I've noticed stuff gets huge in this set.
Yeah, that is
Things
another
get
thing.
Humongous.
There is really big. Even in white, the adaptive gym guard that you can tap
Yeah.
2 things to grow, I've seen that get to a 15/15.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You can just like do so much late to continuously grow things. You can explore on things.
The green blue signpost just gets humongous.
Jeez, yeah.
Yeah, Nikanzel, that card I've had also do work. I don't think green blue, I think that's actually one of the worst archetypes
Yeah.
in this set. I've, you know, in sealed, that was what I actually ended up playing. But I think drafting it, you're going to end up with having some trouble. It's not, I think all the colors are reasonable. I've been able to draft all of them to some degree.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like Lord of the Rings where Rakdos is just disgustingly good, and a
man.
bad Rakdos deck is better than most decks.
Not yet. Not yet. It's not like that.
Not yet. Yeah, the format will adapt.
Not yet.
Things will
Not yet, you
change.
say?
Not yet.
What's getting there? What's on
I
your.
don't know. I mean, red seems really good to me. But Abrades are so good.
A braid is
Abrade
absolutely
is
premium.
so good.
Right now, Ryan, tell me what's your color ranking of this? You just said red was number 1.
Red, black, white, green, blue.
Say it again.
Red, black, white, green, blue.
That I don't know if the data's really there.
I mean, I don't know.
No,
like this is gut. This is gut.
gut feeling. This is gut feeling. Gut feeling. Gut
Absolutely.
feeling.
Because if I recall,
Rapid fire
blue's
round.
actually like the highest on 17 lands.
Is it? I
or
mean-
one of the highest. You know, it's doing very
Yeah.
well.
So it's week 1. What's the top archetype in your eyes, Joel?
The one that I've had the most success with is just white X, where you're taking the 1/1 white flyers super aggressively, and then anything that buffs them. For a while on Arena, there's like 3 to 4 days. I was able to have like 5 of the white flyers.
Oh my gosh.
Right? And if you have 5 of those and then, you know, 6 ways to buff them, it is nigh unbeatable for just about anything. Because you play a 1/1 and then you play 2 more 1/1s.
Yeah.
Or you play, there's a 2-mana 1/2 that puts a counter on something.
Yeah.
Right? Even the Deconstruction Hammer, I'm not a big fan of the card. It's pretty mediocre. But if you're giving a 1/1 flyer +1/+1, it's huge. Right?
So what's the best color to pair with that?
The ones that I've been doing most is I've been doing black-white because there's the 3-mana 3/2. It's a vampire, and you can sacrifice an artifact or creature to put 2 +1/+1 counter somewhere.
Yeah.
There's so many random game objects floating around, whether they be maps, treasures, tokens,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
You nearly always have something to sack, so it feels more like a 4/3 that puts a counter on something else, which is, you know, a pretty good rate for
Jeez,
3.
yeah, that's pretty
that's
good.
scary, especially considering there's also a lot of evasion in this set. You know, there's the blue cards that like can't be blocked if they're explored. There's blue flyers. There's white flyers. It's not very difficult to have an evasive creature to buff, and that is a huge swing. You know, even if you're like end up behind, you can just win the race sometimes. So yeah, I've been doing that black-white. Sometimes I've had like green splashes because you're often like triggering enough to send that you can like take a payoff or 2.
Yeah.
Right? You know, just like playing the good cards generally. Because I still think we're at the point in this format where, you know, you'll have synergy in your deck, but generally, you know, taking the cards that are going to perform well over trying to, you know, draft the perfect synergistic deck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely easier to do. It's not always right per se, but you'll end up with like a decent deck more often, I'd say.
Oh.
That's literally my biggest take from the format is flying's back, baby.
It seems
Flying's
like it,
back,
yeah.
and it's hard to deal with.
Yeah.
No, none of the reach stuff is good. None of it.
4 mana, 4/5 trample reach in green. That is the only one.
It's uncommon though.
Yeah.
None of the common reach stuff is good. Sorry.
Sure.
Yeah, the 4/5 trample reach is insane.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But like the 3/4 for 4 that mills too. Like you don't even want that in Descent decks.
No.
Like it's not even good enough. Is the black 2/2 flyer good enough that mills 1?
It can be if you're like starved for enablers, and like sometimes you'll play it. You need a flying blocker, but I'm not super high on it.
It feels hyper mid. It feels hyper.
That is very much where I'm at.
But that kind of aggression in the 1-drop slot with white just having a 1/1 or the 1/2.
Yeah. I noticed people are hating on the white signpost too, and that thing's or the white plane cycler. It's a house. That thing is hard to deal with.
Yeah.
And I think the main thing on that one is it's just like instant stabilization.
Yeah.
If you cast that and they're doing like flyers at all, none of the flyers can attack into that. Because you've got the 4 mana 3/2 flyer in white. You've got a bunch of like 1/1 flyers. Blue has the 1/1 flyer or the 1/2 artifact flyer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
With vigilance,
and then
that card's
blue also has some 4/4 flyers in like the 5 and 6 drop slot.
Yeah.
But none of those attack profitably into a 3/5 flyer. I don't think there's a flyer in the set that attacks profitably into it. I'm struggling to think of one. At which point, if flying is that big in this set, it's very good. And it blocks all of that and gains you 3 when it enters. Yeah.
I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of too many ground creatures that have 5 power, much less flyers.
I mean, there's things that grow.
There's things that grow, sure.
But
and there's big dinos.
Yeah.
But like other than that, it blocks everything.
And even like the 4-drop slot, there's a lot of 4/3s.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Like the 4/3 menace, there's another. Yeah. So attacking into it is pretty difficult. It is definitely the kind of stabilization card that I think you should end up playing.
I think we're going to do like a little bit more arena talk specifically about like how to trophy because Joel's the trophy god. He did 4 in a row trophies already. And we're recording this like 3 days into the set, right? Like 4 maybe on arena, something like that.
Yeah.
So how do I trophy? I only did it once. I don't know how. Andrew, how many trophies?
0.
0. Help him.
I need help.
There's definitely quite a bit of like reading the signals. If you're looking pack 1, I do think staying open to the set is definitely rewarded. The bombs can do, major work in all of the colors. I wouldn't say it's like a super bomb heavy set, but there are some very format defining, like if you get any of the God cycle, it's disgusting. If you get like Kentorius, there's a lot of scary things there. It's not necessarily just going to win the game, but they're strong. So, staying open, being able to potentially get past those kind of things late. And then it also gives you a way more likelihood of getting removal, right? Like we said, it's being taken so highly. So if you end up in colors that other people aren't, you actually got a chance at getting some of that. Whereas if you're in colors that are contested, you are going to see nothing. So staying open initially. And then the other...
How long are we staying open?
Pack 1.
The entire pack?
Nah, by the end of the pack, you're gonna see somewhere, right? If you haven't seen signals, if it's like super mixed by the end of pack 1, you're picking something.
Would you rather be flopping into high roll like chances, like speculating for a deck? Like, would you rather take like a signpost, and like take a gamble, like maybe this is open, or would you rather be trying to stick monocolor and like just small branches either way? You know what I mean?
Yeah, what I want to say is like high rolling, because all of the uncommons in this set is good. But what I've ended up doing more is I have a base color and then I'm speculating on a lot of things outside of that color.
Yeah.
And then I end up, in like a second color and then sometimes splashing random third.
Yeah.
And I think splashing the uncommons from other colors, if you're black-white, splashing the black-green Descend uncommon is perfectly reasonable. I think often right. You don't have to be in that exact color pair to enable Descent. Anything can Descent. Splashing like the blue-red uncommon or something is a lot more, difficult.
Build around
those are kind of the build-around ones. But I think quite a few of them are just like strong enough on their own that, you can splash that kind of thing. And I haven't run into people doing that much. People have been mostly 2-colored, and it is like a 2-color set. But I think that the uncommons are good enough to splash, and I think that is definitely something that people should be doing.
Yeah, I think if you see the value there, you might as well do it. There's just so many things that have value stapled to them throughout this whole thing. And then, like you were saying, a lot of the effects of this set and the abilities and what have you, keywords or whatever, kind of interact with each other.
I feel like there's like a lot of 3-color slices. White, blue, red is like super artifacts, but like black touches it a little bit. Green, not so much. Descend is like white, black, green, right? Because you can trigger Descending with white, black, and then you can Descending also helps you get to Descend 4.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I would definitely agree with those. And then I also think white black has like that sacrifice sub theme. that can go well with the green descent.
Right.
That kind of thing. If you have like Mythic draw, it's hatching plans at home, right? Yeah. Not nearly as good. You might play a couple, but it does the descend thing, and if you're sacking it for value, it's good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
How's it been with the drafting here? Like, do you feel like people are staying in their lanes, or is there a lot of just chaos because it's the first week and everybody's just trying to make things work?
First week, I feel like there's always going to be way more chaos, absolutely. Okay. But like for FNM tonight, I had my lane from the very start, and it was definitely correct. Like I said, I got the corpses second pick, and then I had the black-green uncommon third pick. So I picked a green rare, a black rare, and then the black-green uncommon.
What a treat to have that 1, 2, 3, and just know that that's where you're at.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Yeah. And then from the other side, it was super open as well. I ended up seeing both of their decks, and neither of them contained black or green.
Jeez.
It was blue-red and blue-white. So it was incredibly open.
The guy I passed to was 5 colors. We ended up trimming them down to 3, I think. So
yeah, that's pretty rough. It's just difficult to even know what your signals you're seeing or anything.
Oh, bless his heart.
That happens.
It happens.
I derail all the time.
There's too many shiny things that happen in this set, like all the time, and you're just like, "This is a cool card. This is a great card."
This is like a weird take, but like I think people are just putting their head down and forcing because they open like crazy stuff too. Like, I think. I mean, it might not be more than normal. It feels like more than normal to me right now.
Yeah.
But it feels like people are just like, oh, I got the green god. Like, I'm playing green. And there's it doesn't matter.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's definitely some of that where the rares all feel powerful. And because of that, they, mitigate each other to some degree. Mm-hmm. But it does not, there's a, I'm having trouble thinking of like truly junky rares. Normally there's a few that are like kind of unplayable.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, made for other formats.
Yeah.
But in this format, most of them are pretty designed for limited, I feel like. Can you guys think of any?
I should show you my sealed pool. The artifact that whenever a creature that goes in the graveyard gets counters is like pretty clunky. It can be good in a certain deck. I mean,
Millennium Clock comes to mind.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah. I had that in my sealed pool.
The counter one that gets you draws and discards is not good at all.
Roby's away. You can say it.
He knows. Deep down.
He does. He deep down.
I mean, there's quite a few, I think, but I think on average they're pretty good. I play my thing, and if you can't deal with it, you're gonna lose, and then you play your thing, and if I can't deal with it, I'm gonna lose. Like, that's why people are drafting removal so highly too, I think.
I think that is a big part of it because it feels so bad when you can't deal with Tendrils with Myco Tyrant, right?
Yeah. Or even just an adaptive gym guard. Like if you're in
Mm-hmm.
red and they play it and they get it to 5, you're like, oh man, this is gonna be tough.
How are you gonna win, right?
Not even a threaten. Come on. Give me a threaten.
Oh man.
Perfect set for a threat.
This is a perfect set for a threat. Yeah.
There isn't any of those, and that is kind of surprising. Nearly every set has that, and there's just nothing.
That's something that makes green kind of good in this set, right? Now there's no threat, and you can just play your big 7/7s with impunity. Just like, all right, cool. What are you gonna do about it? How are you gonna remove this thing?
I feel like they push green stat lines. Yeah. Lots of things have 3/3s for 2 now.
Yeah.
Everybody's got Discover or Explorer stapled to them, so it's just like, this guy can be bigger. Yeah, no big deal. Great.
I feel like I always want the counter when I swim. Like,
oh my gosh,
please
I know.
Counter.
Whenever you have Kinjali's Dawn Runner, the 3-mana double strike that explores,
if it doesn't get the counter, you're like, oh my.
When you get the counter, it's amazing. When you don't, you're like, oh no.
Yeah. Useless garbage without the counter.
So how much time do we have left in the season for you to get to 250?
Well,
what's the countdown clock?
We still have, it just refreshed. I've got 28 days.
Okay.
But I am aiming to get to it within a week, honestly. I want to kind of get it out of the way before I have to, get other stuff done. Because
do you find it easier in the beginning of a format to get to that mythic rank?
It is significantly easier.
That's what I thought.
People don't know what they're doing. They draft, things that are just not good. They're still speculating on the cool archetype like caves, right? When later people are jaded and they don't try to draft caves. There's been, the thing I've seen most often is people discover into a legendary creature and then cast it because they feel like it's Cascade. Yeah, but they can just put it into their hand and hold it. And that's like the kind of thing that is not going to be happening even like a couple weeks from now.
Yeah.
Right. But if they're just like going down a card to do that for no reason, it's a huge swing.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know this, but in Premier drafts, do you draft with people with their same elo or same rank, or they try to, or is it just kind of?
So, my understanding of it is that it's somewhat messy because you have a hidden elo that is not based off of your actual rank.
Oh.
And that is actually shown to you to some degree when you hit Mythic, based off the percentile you're placed in Mythic.
Gotcha.
So my drafts right now, I'm playing against mostly numbered Mythic players, even though I haven't hit Mythic yet, because that's where I'm going to be placing because of my current win rate.
Are you in Diamond right now?
I'm currently about Diamond 2, but I have a 70% win rate.
Whew, man. That's solid win rate.
I ran into a couple 550 Mythics and stuff too, and I'm like in plat. Like,
oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys are tearing it up, man.
I mean, I'm not doing good. I feel like variance happens to me on Arena so much. Like, I just start with 2 lands and I never draw the third.
Like the hand smoother? The hand
Yeah,
smoother?
no, like
I
try
hate
going
the
on
hand smoother.
Moto. Like the hand smoother changes the game.
Yeah, I know, and I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it. It doesn't
Really?
know what it's doing. I mean, I do. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because like just having it look at 2 hands and choose the one with the better proportion of lands or spells, you're almost never gonna have 7 landers or 0 landers. Like you will very rarely, but that much less of the time, it enables you to be a little more greedy with your mana base than you can be in paper.
It supports like Robies, right? Like if you're going 4 colors, and nothing against them, but like the land smoother is going to help you a lot.
Yeah.
It's going to help you a lot with those colors.
So when you're in Arena best of 1, do you shave an extra land off knowing that you're in Arena?
I am more
Viola?
willing to. Yeah.
Wow.
I feel like, and I don't have statistics on this, so this is just tinfoil hat time.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like aggro decks are
Yeah.
like a little bit worse in Arena because I think they give you the 4 land hand over the 2 land hand.
I'm not familiar with which of those it chooses.
If I could pick to have hand smoother or not, I would pick not.
That's definitely wrong.
Now you dropping a land in that aggro deck?
I drop multiple lands in the old aggro decks. I drop multiple.
All of the grade.
15 is like
15.
where I start.
Jeez, man.
That's more aggressive than I am. But
In aggro, I mean, you see my aggro curves. They stop at 3, like hard stop at 3.
what about the geological appraiser? You can't pass that. Like,
That's true. It's probably correct to use it, right? Because it gives you like a quote unquote better hand, but it still annoys me. It shouldn't be in there for anyone.
I would prefer if it wasn't there. Yeah. And like, I'd play more traditional so you didn't have to, but it's not ranked. And that's really frustrating because I feel like traditional is a more competitive format anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Like, best of 3 is what you're doing for all tournaments.
I wish they would do it ranked. I really was disappointed in that.
Yeah, it would be better if it was ranked. I'd probably play it more. The high roll and it's so high rolly. Like the EV is so high rolly. Like win 2, you don't get your money back. Win 3, you get quite a bit of good
It was
money.
pretty good when you went 3 in that, though. I'll
like,
tell you that much.
The EV on Premier is like 4.5, which is not hard to do at all.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to consistently go positive on that. Whereas if you're trying to do the best of 3, you need to really consistently get the trophy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm honestly more greedy in best of 3. I feel like you want a deck that's gonna trophy, right? Because if you go 2-1, you have a mediocre deck. It's just so much worse.
You have to trophy 1 out of 3 decks, and that's like assuming you're going 2-1s and the ones that you're not trophying, right?
Yeah.
Like, because that's tough.
And because 1 and 2, you're so punished. You get like 250 gems or something.
Yeah.
It's just brutal.
I wish they would put in tournaments where you can like
Oh, that'd be nice.
choose who you draft with.
MTGO has been doing for some sets a 64 player like UM things.
Ooh.
Right? When they have some pretty cool prizes. I wish Arena would have something, like competitive support like MTGO has been doing. Because that kind of like, big tournament where you're going like 64 elimination all the way, it's so cool. Even if you go 2-0 or something, it's way more exciting. There's more stakes.
Yep.
Right. Whereas if you're just like, you get a trophy on a Premier draft, it's like, okay, and you just queue again. Like, sure, it's a little, you're a little bit happy, obviously, you did well, but it's not anything like, even like winning an FNM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's nothing like drafting is so much better when you sit down with 8 people and you all open, your 3 packs and you play against those people. You have to beat, the people that you pass to. You have to like mitigate some damage. Like sometimes you have to like take some cards that, you never hate draft on Arena. You would never ever do it. There's no reason.
There's no point.
You're never playing that person.
Yeah.
Right. And If you are, you just need to have a better deck, right?
Yeah, there's always like a power level issue all the time when we play outside of your pod.
Yeah.
Because it's like sometimes you just open up really bad packs. Like it just happens.
Yeah, or there's just better pods and there's worse pods. Like
Yeah.
it just, every pod has a different skill level, period.
Wow, that's true.
And so if you play against someone that didn't draft in your pod and they drafted with my daughter, right? Like, and I drafted with Joel and you, they're going to probably beat me.
Pod drafting is definitely the way to go.
Yeah. I love
I think
those.
that'd be nice if they did that like as a weekend tournament.
Even if they didn't
Wizards,
have
you
it
hearing me?
like
Just custom. Just custom. Just let us organize them and like let us like set up tournaments if we want to.
Yeah.
yeah.
That would be dope.
We're paying currency into it.
Yeah, like we'd still
Even
pay
if they
the-
had an entry fee for those kind of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Like I would absolutely pay 10,000 gems to be able to run some pod drafts kind of things. That'd be
Yeah.
super cool.
We know tons of Mythic drafters who get on there and mash pods, and that would be super fun. That'd be way funner than just playing Premier, I think. If I want to grind and make it to like, qualify for Denver or maybe make the Pro Tour, what do I have to do?
Absolutely. So if you're trying to do it via arena instead of doing like paper events, the way to go is absolutely to place top 250 every season. What that does is you get an invite to one of the qualifier weekends. You don't have to do the qualifier plan. That's the other way you can get that invite. But you just get that free invite without having to pay gyms to do those entries. Because even if you're pretty conservative, the arena economy is not great, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna, once you place that top 250, you're gonna have the invite to day one. And day one, it's varying formats. The last one I did was sealed, and the prizes aren't great. But if you do get to 7 wins on day one, you get 25,000 gems,
Yeah, that's
which will fund you for a while.
so. If I get 249,
You're set. It's the exact same.
even if I
all-
demote later and I get top 98%,
you got to stay there. At
you
the
got to
end.
stay there. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I want to know.
Yeah. You really. I would definitely not get 249 and try to just sit there. You'll fall.
Yeah,
You don't fall
Really?
nearly as much in limited as constructed.
Yeah.
If you do constructed and you take a day off, you'll wind up like 96%. And
Yep.
you're like, what happened? Limited, the last time I didn't play much for the last 3 days, and I felt like 20 spots.
really.
Oh, wow.
Which makes it significantly easier to get there, hold it, and then end the season with that.
Yeah,
And then if you do end up finishing both day one of that qualifier weekend and you win out day two as well, then you get an invitation to the Arena Open, which gives you guaranteed cash prizes. You can make quite a bit. The first place prize out of 32 players is $30,000, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And then you also get a Pro Tour invite if you finish out day two.
dope.
So
Nice.
that is the way to go.
Yeah, and then for paper, you set up RCQs in small towns.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
people. if you pick your tournament well, it is going to be exponentially easier. So like the first couple RCQs I did, and this format is modern. They were 64 players, completely full, at a pretty competitive shop in Kansas City, and I did all right. I top 8'd on the first day and lost in the quarters, and then I was one game off top 8ing the second day. But it's a 64-man tournament
Right.
where everyone there is pretty good.
Yep.
And then I had gone to one other that was a little smaller, but still I think it was 40 players, right? And it's 2 slots, so
Nice.
like 1 in 20, maybe like 1 in 10 if you're that much better than the competition.
Yeah.
And then I was gonna be out of town. I was going to Arkansas, and I saw that there was a RCQ at a tiny town there at this random convention, and there were 8 of us. I just didn't drop a single game. I won out the entire day. Made it a lot easier.
So, as a avid Magic traveler, what's the competition like here, where we draft?
For drafting, this is the best I've seen for drafts. Honestly, anywhere in like the Midwest kind of area. Down in Oklahoma, I haven't found a place that drafts as well as One Drop.
Nice.
KC, there's like places that run drafts, but not like consistently. It's level of competition at One Drop. So it's excellent.
That's awesome. Which Packmate are you most afraid of? I know you're not afraid of any. I know you're not really afraid of any. I remember when you first came in, you're a little shaky, but that's because you just had never played paper, right?
Yeah, I'd only played
You didn't even know
online.
who people were, but
You beat me quite a few times. I think I was like 0-4 against you to start. It was raw.
yeah, I was You were one that I was like, I just gotta stay on top.
Yeah.
Stay on top.
No, you beat me quite a few times.
Andrew was like that for me for a while. I was like, God.
Yeah.
He just always has the removal. He just always has it.
Oh, yeah.
No, if you think he doesn't have it, you're wrong.
You're definitely wrong.
You look at his mana, you think, what does he have? That's what he has.
Yeah.
I think Ryan stood behind me one time and realized I didn't have it all the time.
I mean, I always call you because I'm gonna do it.
You do
right?
call me
like
out
I'm
quite a
always
bit.
gonna call you.
Yeah.
That's how I
You're
play.
ready to be
It's
blown
probably-
out every
sometimes
time.
it's to a fault, right?
yeah.
Sometimes
Oh,
to
yeah.
a fault.
Oh,
like
yeah.
we all have our tendencies, and once like you figure someone out, you can kind of sneak a couple wins off of them, right? Like once you figure out how much Joel values his tendrils, you can swing your 2-1 or your 1-1 into him. He's be like, it's fine. Like it's just 1 damage.
I am never blocking it in a million years.
right.
I'm very good at signaling. Except when I'm trying to go for a pet deck too. Like that ruins everybody's day. When I was just like, I'm gonna go off the rails
Oh
today.
my god, drafting next to Roby, you just have no
that's
idea
just-
what's
that's-
going
that's a
on. He's
whole
just
nother-
like,
that's a
here's
whole
a green
issue.
bomb, here's a black bomb, here's a white bomb.
He will pass the most crazy things and take the most insane things instead of them, and then somehow it works.
There's some board states that are just ridiculous in the set too. Like,
Yeah, this set gets messy.
It's like you just have like
Yeah.
a billion counters on everything. You've descended. You're digging in your graveyard for whatever you want. Like I don't know. There's just so much stuff you can do and just get degenerate.
The one thing I do like about that though is it does increase like the level of skill in like playing. Like
Yeah.
making mistakes like will cost you. You will be punished, right? And when you get those complicated board states, it's no longer, trade the 3/2 for the 3/3 kind of thing. It becomes, like, can you map it all out, get the combat to work, and actually get there? And I do like that, honestly.
Oh yeah.
Do you agree with my thought process that when you swing, you should know exactly what your opponent's going to do?
You should know the best thing for them to do. How to
Yes, right.
capitalize.
And if they
with
do
it.
anything else, you
Yes.
should win. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
No, you should not be surprised, or at least you should do your best to avoid it. And like playing around the tricks. I think one of the best things to learn for if you don't know the format super well, if you didn't look at like pre-release kind of things, learn the kind of tricks people can have for their mana. If they have 2 mana open with red, are they going to have the first strike that makes a treasure and pumps the thing, right?
braid, yeah.
Yeah. Are they going to have a braid? Different removal, Cosmium Blast, 4 damage to attacking creature. The artifact that flips into a vehicle for tapped things, right? It deals damage and then flips later. Learning those kind of instant speed tricks, and then when you can play around them and when to just like make them have it, just makes you so much better than someone who's just not playing around anything.
We ready for the superfecta?
Yeah, I think we're ready for some superfectas.
Well, this is going to come out right around Thanksgiving. So, favorite Thanksgiving foods?
I'm gonna have to just go with the basic turkey.
Okay, you got first.
All right, you got
basic
first.
turkey. Pack one, pick one. Give me them candied yams. Give me them sweet potatoes, baby.
Mashed potatoes.
Sure. You're just such a what's the word? You just cater to people. You just cater to people.
What?
You're just trying to get the votes. You're a
trying to get the
politician.
votes. What are
You're a
you talking-
politician. You're a politician. Mashed potatoes.
It's rigged.
Mashed potatoes
Yeah.
is great, but that's not even Thanksgiving. That's just all the time food.
That's a Thanksgiving food, though. I mean, it's like you
I mean,
gotta have.
it's at
potatoes.
every Thanksgiving, but so
Yeah.
are rolls. Like, come on.
Ooh, we're gonna pick rolls, right? You gonna pick rolls? You gonna roll
It's
color?
your turn again.
I know. I'm
Go
thinking.
ahead. Say something else wild.
Ham.
Gravy.
Ham.
Ham. Give me that stuffing. Give me
Stuffing.
that stuffing.
You call it stuffing or dressing?
Stuffing.
Okay.
Stuffing.
I'm a stuffing guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right. Good.
We don't call it dressing here. That's not welcome.
Yeah. Cali boy. Cali boy.
I was wondering. I call it stuffing. I call it stuffing.
Okay, sure. Sure you do.
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I've
Totally,
never even
Totally.
I've never
heard.
even heard it called dressing before just now. Ever.
Weren't you just saying that it changes for other people?
All
What you
right,
got?
Joel. You got 2.
I gotta say rolls. Like, there's a reason we were all
Totally
gravitating towards
exceptional.
it. They're
They are
so
good.
good.
They are
They are
good.
good. They are good. They are good.
They are good. What else? What else you got?
I don't know. Those are definitely the 2 biggest.
There's nothing wrong with a good turkey, dude. Turkey is fire.
Yeah.
Turkey. I mean,
People hate on turkey,
number
too.
one turkey.
People always make fun of it. It's like you only have it then. Nah, it's really good. There's a reason you have it around
I
Thanksgiving.
feel like a boss when you get that turkey leg. Oh man, it's very good.
Roasted veggies.
roasted
Ooh,
veggies.
very good.
Some
Very
roasted
good.
veggies. Give me a little green bean casserole. Me a little green with some little onions on top.
Do you do the French fried onions?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. He's got to be.
Oh yeah.
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 Cranberry sauce.
Yeah, no.
No, it's a no.
That's a no.
You gotta have that. It's like it ties everything together.
Don't
the next day,
don't
though.
even waste your stomach.
Are you
space
serious,
with
right?
Cranberry sauce.
Like not the jiggly kind. I'm talking
I know
just
what
like
you're talking about.
yeah, just nice, good cranberry chutney, whatever. you
The
wanna call
jiggly
it.
kind's also garbage.
I like the jiggly. Kind.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Isn't that beets?
Yeah, it's like Jello. Is it beets? Is it? Is it not even cranberry? I don't know. It comes out of a can. It's shaped like a can. I slice it from the can. It was bad. My grandma really liked it, so that was she would literally make the like cranberry chutney or whatever the heck it is, the actual sauce, and she would always whip out that can.
Okay, I'm sure some people can whip together a really good cranberry sauce.
Yeah.
But the majority, I'm not wasting my time.
And even the really good stuff is like,
Pumpkin pie.
Oh God, that was my.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Super easy.
hate to break it to you, but apple pie is better.
Oh.
Apple pie is.
Oh yeah,
Apple pie is like 3.
I think apple pie's. Ooh.
apple pie is great.
Apple pie is good. Apple pie is good.
Man.
Pumpkin pie is good too. Pumpkin pie might be my favorite, but it's tied with pecan pie. Pecan pie is so fire. So I'm gonna go with pecan pie.
All right.
Last pick.
Last pick. My grandma always made snickerdoodles for Thanksgiving, and those are really good.
That's good.
Yeah, that's fire.
Snickerdoodle's a great cookie.
Yeah.
It's up there. It's up
Definitely
there.
one of the
It's
best
actually my
cookies.
top 3. Top 3 cookies for sure.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Monster peanut butter snickerdoodle. Sure.
Monster?
Yeah, monster cookies.
What's a monster cookie? Is
I don't know
You
those.
don't know those either?
No.
that a Midwest thing?
I guess it's like peanut butter, oatmeal, M&Ms, sometimes raisins.
Raisins?
Sometimes I skip the raisins.
I like oatmeal raisin cookie.
Yeah, oatmeal raisin cookies are fire.
It's in my top 3.
I love a good oatmeal raisin cookie.
Yeah, it's
Those are good.
Yeah, but you should look up monster cookies. They're peanut butter plus oatmeal is already fire. Then you throw some M&Ms in there. Amazing.
sounds good.
Yep. No one said broccoli and cheese for there.
I mean, roasted veggies includes that. I feel like we do a whole medley
sure.
of stuff included in that, and you just kind of like take what's good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm surprised no one said corn or something like that.
That's fair.
Corn
Corn is
would've been
really
a good one.
good.
Corn's. I feel like corn's more of a summer thing.
Do you not have it?
I mean, sometimes, but like in the summer when the corn's fresh and you have it on the cob
come
grill,
on. Oh,
that doesn't
man, that's
compete with Thanksgiving.
That's a
corn.
whole different ball game there.
Yeah. No one looks forward to the corn. Like I get a little bit of corn. Like it's usually cream corn for mine.
And that's just not nearly as good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Is your guys' plates like a huge mess when you get there, or is everything compartmentalized? I know you're a compartmentalized guy. I already know that.
I do my best to compartmentalize, then I start like running out of room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You start off. The best thing though, in all of the Thanksgiving, is when the sweet potatoes and the ham come together on the plate. That's the best.
You have to be strategic with
Yeah.
what goes next to what,
That's
so it
absolutely
mixes
true.
well.
That is absolutely true. Oh yeah. Yeah, I
you're-
compartmentalize
I
it
know.
first.
I
I
know
do
you
my
do.
best intent. I start off with the best intentions, and then it becomes a mess.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
Yep.
Actually, I had a Thanksgiving feast this today.
Did you?
Yeah, it was good. I went straight for the ham. It was
Nice.
like done.
Yeah.
Catered by Outback. It was very nice.
Ooh,
Yeah,
nice.
very good. Very good.
No.
Yeah, there you go. Outback hit me up. I'm about to get that blooming onion money. I'll put blooming onion on my super pector right now.
Oh gosh. Politician. I think that's all we got today.
I think so.
We'll catch you boys
All
on
right.
the flippity flop.
Have a good one.